I shouldn't have done it. I'm so stupid. I read the manuscript. I did the Samhain ritual. And now it's in my house. I think it's trying to. I think it knows I saw it. I saw how I die. Don't ever do what I did. You have to understand what happened. You have to listen. Look, I've always been a skeptic. Not a cynic, mind you. Just the kind of person who needs to see things to actually believe them. I love ghost stories, paranormal videos, all of it. But from a safe distance, it's entertainment. At least it was. This whole mess started last week. I was at one of those huge, dusty estate sales way out in the countryside. The kind where you feel like you're just digging through a stranger's entire life. I found it in a box of old academic books, buried under a bunch of texts on agriculture and local history. It wasn't a book, not really. It was a manuscript, hand-bound in cracked black leather with no title on the cover. The pages were brittle and yellowed, and they smelled like dust and something else. Something sharp, almost like ozone after a lightning strike. Most of it was written in a language I didn't recognize at all, full of these strange, spidery symbols. But someone had scribbled notes in the margins in this shaky, almost desperate-looking Latin. My high school Latin is pretty rusty, but I could piece enough of it together. It was describing 7 rituals. It called them the Septem Rites Prohibiti, the 7 Forbidden Rites, and the 7th one, the very last one, was for Samhain. Now, I know a little bit about Samhain. Everything I've ever read says it's this beautiful ancient festival celebrating the end of the harvest and honoring your ancestors. It's a time when the veil between our world and the spirit world is supposed to be at its thinnest, a time for quiet reflection. But this manuscript, this was something else entirely. It wasn't about honoring the dead. It was about commanding them. It described a ritual of osteomancy, bone divination, not for gentle guidance, but to literally tear open a vision of the future, to demand a glimpse of something you're not supposed to see. The manuscript was very specific. It said it required raven bones, ethically sourced, which was such a bizarrely modern detail to find in a text that felt ancient. It claimed that ravens, since they travel between the world of the living and the dead, held the key. I was fascinated. The academic part of me, the skeptic, just saw it as a historical curiosity, a weird, forgotten belief system. But there was this other part of me, a quieter, more reckless part, that was hooked. The manuscript warned that the vision always came with a price, that whatever you saw, you were inviting its shadow into your life. It sounded like a campfire story, a thrilling, elaborate piece of folklore. I couldn't get the thing out of my head. I spent the next few days just digging, trying to find anything about it. Osteomancy is a real thing, an ancient form of divination used by cultures all over the world. People would cast bones and read the patterns to find answers. But I couldn't find a single reference to a ritual like the one in this manuscript. Nothing about this specific chant, nothing about it being forbidden, and nothing about summoning a shadow. It was like this was the only text of its kind anywhere, and honestly, that just made me want to do it more. I told myself it was for documentation, that it would make an incredible experiment. I was a skeptic, right? What was the worst that could happen? I'd light some candles, throw some bones around, and probably feel a little foolish. An experiment in folklore, that's all. Samhain was getting closer. October 31st. The manuscript was crystal clear that the ritual had to be performed right as the day turned, when the veil spell was at its most fragile. So I started gathering the materials. I actually found a set of ethically sourced raven bones online from some oddities shop. A small price to pay to satisfy my curiosity, or so I thought. I bought some black candles for what the text called purification and protection. Looking back, the fact that I might need protection should have been a giant screaming red flag. The night of Samhain, I pulled my hair back and set everything up in my home office. I cleared a space on the floor, put down a dark cloth like it said, and placed the unlit candles around it. My heart was pounding, but I told myself it was just the thrill of performance, of creating something for myself. I set up my camera on a tripod, ready to capture every single second. I wanted to prove there was nothing to it. I wanted to be able to look back and laugh about it. I was so arrogant. I was so wrong. Okay, so it's just after midnight, which means it's officially Samhain. I've got the candles lit, and I have the raven bones here. According to the manuscript, I'm supposed to focus on one single question, a glimpse of a single future event. The manuscript itself gives a warning. It says to ask for a vision of good fortune or love. It says to never ask to see your own end. So, of course, being the idiot that I am, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I have to know if any of this is real. And if I'm going to see something, it might as well be the one thing that matters most. The incantation is weird. It's in Irish, a language I don't speak, so I'm just going to have to read it phonetically from my notes. Here we go. Anail na marb, cluinim anois thu, scath anfile, te spein dom anfirine. I repeat it 3 times, a little louder each time, a little more confident. As I finish the 3rd repetition, I gently toss the bones onto the cloth. They scatter in a random pattern. I lean forward, squinting. Okay, so they're just bones on a cloth. I don't see anything. I mean, what was I expecting? A hologram to pop up? I feel nothing. A little cold maybe, but the window is probably just... Whoa. Okay, that was weird. Probably just a power surge or something. But the candle, no way. They moved. I swear they shifted. I saw it, just for a second. When the candle went out, in the shadows, I saw it. Oh God, I saw it. I made a mistake. I made a huge mistake. After the ritual, I tried to just forget it. I blew out the candles, scooped up the bones, and just put them away. I told myself the camera glitch was a coincidence. The cold was my imagination, and the vision was just a trick of the light, a waking dream from all the stress and atmosphere. But it felt so real. A flash of shattered glass, the screech of tires, my own face, just pale and still. The first night was quiet, too quiet. But the little things started the next day. I'd leave a room and come back to find a door open that I know I had closed. The thermostat kept dropping to freezing, even after I'd reset it a dozen times. Electronics started failing. My phone would just die at 80% battery. My laptop would freeze on a single messed up frame of whatever I was watching. Then came the noises, whispers, like you can only hear the very end of a conversation, just on the edge of hearing. Scratching sounds from inside the walls. I have an old house. I know the sounds old houses make. This wasn't that. This felt intentional. The 3rd night was the worst. I was getting ready for bed, just taking off my necklace, when I heard this soft tapping sound. It wasn't coming from the window. It was coming from my bedroom mirror. I flicked on the light, and there was nothing there. But as I was about to turn it off, I saw it. Traced in the condensation from my own breath on the glass was one of the symbols from the manuscript. just faded away as I watched. I haven't slept. I feel like I'm being watched all the time. It's this feeling of pure primal dread, the shadow the manuscript warned about. It's not just in my head, it's here, it's in my house, and it's getting stronger. It's feeding on my fear, and I am giving it an absolute feast. I tried to reverse it. The manuscript had another passage, another incantation. I thought it was a banishing spell. I got the bones back out. I lit the candles again. I did everything it told me to do. I chanted the words, Skarath and Nask, Dunandoras, Filler and Nimni. Separate the link, close the door, return to the nothingness. But as soon as I finished, every single candle blew out at once, and the bones, they started to shake. They rattled against the floor, and then they moved, rearranging themselves. It wasn't a random pattern this time. It was a word, a date. It's 2 days from now. The date from my vision. It wasn't a reversal spell. It was a confirmation, an anchor. I didn't close the door. I locked it wide open. I've basically invited it to stay until the end. I always look for the logical explanation, but there isn't one. I don't know what to do. I don't know what's going to happen between now and then. Subscribe